We're again in London, heading for Hyde Park for the 2023 London to Brighton Veteran Car Run. More about what's going on in a while, but just for now we need to unload this sweet little old car and get it on the road and over to the start compound in Hyde Park. Hi, I'm Warren Brand and welcome to another Linleys video. This is Paul, the owner of SX13, a 1900 New Orleans single-cylinder, belt-driven, very special old car. The routine this morning needs no discussion between us as we beaver around the car. Paul and his team have done the same routine for many years. It's now just after 6 AM and we have about an hour before the official start of the event at dawn. Ahead lies about 60 miles of tortuous hills and challenging junctions, as well as the difficulties faced in keeping this little gem of a car going most of the day. Engine started, hood back on, with Paul and passenger number 1 aboard. They're off to the starting compound. I, with the other passenger, will be on support duties for the first section. We walk the mile or so to the start and catch up with Paul there. SX13 is in Start Group 2 and ahead will be some specially selected vehicles and the very oldest, older even than 1900. The official start is called at dawn this morning and the first group of cars head off.
Hello. Just a quick hello. What's your name? And the weather up here is fantastic. Well, congratulations very much on supplied by Green One, the oldest car
Paul leaves with Group 2 and we wish him well. I'm now needing to quickly get back to the support car and try and find Paul on his route through South London. These old cars are in later groups through the years from 1900 to 1905. I'm the designated driver for the support vehicle again today while I'm not with Paul. I'll have my turn on SX13 later on. We chase slowly and watch Paul's location ahead on the phone location trackers.
Now turn left and continue to follow the...
A few hours later, we finally catch up with them just north of the M25 crossing here at the Starbucks cafe at Hooley. This is one of our regular stopping points. Planning a quick stop just for the loo, grabbing a coffee and a snack, and checking over the car, especially the drive belt and lubrication, and to top up with petrol. Problems are not unusual. Rarely do we do the full 60 miles without the need of a repair, a part swap or something. But now at this point, when Paul tries to restart the engine, he realises that something's wrong.
Weird.
It's not unusual for the inlet valve to either stick a bit or not seat properly, and Paul knows straight away when he pulls on the starting handle that there is very low compression. This is not good and is a real problem. Turning and trying to bed in the valve from the top is not working. Next is to see what's happening inside. Releasing the inlet tube and then taking off the top casting with the valve, the problem is very clear. There are bits of brass stuck between the valve seat and the valve edge, and we both know where these bits have come from.
No, I know what that is. It's a bit of the carburettor. It's eating itself. Was it?
This is a low point of the trip, as the bits are part of the carburettor's air-fuel atomizer rotator. But how can that be?
The impeller in there.
It's unclear, but with the brassy bits removed, the inlet valve unit can be replaced. The valve and valve seats seem undamaged, so fingers crossed. Let's see. a squirt of Easy Start always helps. And she fires and runs. Quick, with a swap of passenger, Paul heads out. I'm back in support, although from now on it's easier to stay near the old car. My usual trick is to follow for a while, overtake when practical, and then pull up ahead to watch them drive by. All good fun. And the weather today is lovely and bright and great for grabbing some snaps and video clips as SX13 goes past, reassuringly well at the moment, heading south to Brighton. Let's catch up with the run this time, as unfortunately the car has stopped along the road here. More bits of brass from the carburettor have found their way up into the inlet valve. Not good. These are the broken off impeller blades from the mixing atomizer which spins around inside the carburettor. There are 6 blades around the central spindle, and now 4 of them have broken off. The blades spin by themselves as air is drawn in. The spinning action then atomizes the petrol, which is dripped in from the fuel feed pipe. Modern carburettors don't do it this way, but back in 1900, manufacturers were trying all sorts of ways to make engines work. Anyway, we can't find the other 2 bits of the impeller, so Paul puts it all back together again, checks the spark plug, and we hope for the best. It seems the engine will run okay with the parts of the carburettor missing, so back on the road they're off again. It's easier to leave the bonnet off, and that gets stowed in the support car. The next stop is a formal one for hot drinks and snacks, and this year the pit stop for the event participants is in this site in Crawley. Drinks and snacks are picked up in exchange for tokens. There's even a traditional style band playing some lively music. Back at the car, the team do a quick check of fuel, battery condition, top up lubrication points, and add a squirt of conditioner on the drive belt.
Must be absolutely mullered by now. And the French version is called a Georges Richard. Yeah. British version, there's only 4 of these left. This is the New Orleans. Yeah.
Early start, 3 o'clock, here I am, halfway there.
While we're out, the passenger has an important series of jobs to do. There are lots of direction signs along the way to follow, and although we know the usual route, sometimes there are little changes from previous years and we need to watch out for the direction arrows along the way and make sure we don't take a wrong turn. And also, it's useful to aid Paul with some of the extra hand signals at roundabouts, and especially when pulling out and such like. Paul needs both hands most of the time to operate the engine controls and to steer. Underneath, the drive belt whips around between the output drum shaft of the engine and the rear gearbox drums. The engine has a limited rev range and the throttle control is very basic. There are 2 speeds in the gearbox, both meshing all the time. To change speed, the belt is pushed sideways so that it runs on either one of the 2 drums at the back, driving the rear gearbox, or left turning the middle free spinning drum when it's stopped in traffic. In a later video, I'll go into more of these details, but for now, let's enjoy the ride. One of the prettiest sections is south of Crawley through the villages of Staplefield, Slough Green and Cookfield. Every year there, whatever the weather, there's always loads of people out on the roadside waving and shouting good wishes to all of the old cars passing through. On the go, every hour or so, the top-end oiler tank needs topping up. From underneath, a steady drip of oil falls down and lubricates parts in the upper section of the engine. There's no recirculating oil system in this little engine, like there is in a modern car. bottom end lubrication for the main crank bearings, big end and little end of the conrod, and the lower side of the engine bore and rings is lubricated by splashing up of oil from the primitive oil sump underneath. Well, now to help up this hill, I get ready to jump out so that it both lightens the load and I can push the little car. Paul leaves me behind briefly. I have to run to catch up. He will be waiting for me at the top of the hill a little way ahead. Let me give you a very quick summary history of this lovely old car. Built in 1900 in Twickenham in an assembly workshop, the car is formed of a Belgian chassis and engine and an English body and fairings. This little car has had a mixed and troubled life. From 1900 until about 1917, it was used as a reliable little car. Then around 1920 it was mostly stripped down and the engine with most of the chassis used as a wood saw in a farm. Fortunately, most of the body, wheels and other bits were kept together, and this made it possible to reassemble the car. Paul's father bought the bit back in 1952 and had a plan to rebuild the car and drive it from London to Brighton alongside the other veteran vehicles. Most of the work was complete, and when Paul took over ownership of the car in 1996, the first run was attempted. The first successful run was in 2000, and since most years have had further successful drives. As we approach Brighton, the sun is out, it's warm for this time of year, and SX13 is running well in spite of the carburettor issues. We've made a good time for the run today. This event is absolutely not a race, but it's nice to arrive in Brighton before the light goes. And we proudly approach Madeira Drive from the roundabout here. We slow up before the finish line, awaiting our turn to be interviewed and checked as a finisher. Through the crowds, we find a space to park up.
Yes, he would be.
5 o'clock in the morning, it was very wet indeed. I can believe that. Look, congratulations.
There's food and drinks provided here too, and we take part in that. Before I sign off with this video, and as a post-event feature, I'll take a look at the parts of the carb that have failed and how Paul has remade the parts all ready for the 2024 run. Just now though, let's get the little car safely back into the trailer and us off home. It's been a long day, but again, very successful and great fun. Paul, thank you again for letting me take part in the run, and looking forward to next year, of course. Okay then, to conclude, let's look at the carburettor. These are the impeller blades. All 6 of them were found from the broken atomizer spinner. There are 2 layers of impeller, both fixed to a tube which spins on a fixed centre pin. Since the 2023 run, Paul has made a replacement tube with 2 impeller fans. Also, he's made up 2 spacers which will restrict the up and down movement of the impeller on the centre spindle, a problem that he has noted before. Here is the old impeller component placed inside the carb body. This view is looking up from underneath at the impeller layer, which is still intact. Looking down from the top, the usual way of seeing the car body, of course, the lower impeller blades can be seen in the darker space lower down. Here, the choke slider is half closed. In a later video, I'll explore how the carburettor works in full, how the impeller atomizes the petrol in the airflow, the petrol jet, the float chamber, and the fuel valve, intake valve, and ignition. Paul has finished the new part and even tested that it spins freely in the carburettor body using a vacuum cleaner to suck air through. Nice work, Paul. See you at the 2024 London to Brighton run. Thanks for watching and bye for now.